Hey everyone, Eric Kimball here with another video, drywall related tip technique. I'm going to show you how to fix a electrical box of any kind where the drywall is not cut out very well around it. There's different ways of doing it, but I think what I'm going to show you will work just fine for you. It's not that hard. I've done it many times. And when we're done, I'm going to go on the other side of this wall, which is the living room of my house, and I'm going to cut a hole in the wall so that we can see the back side of this repair. I think that would be interesting, and I'm going to do that because I'm going to be tearing this wall out very shortly. I want to tell you a little story about this sort of a thing. In a previous video, I explained that I was introduced to the building trades in Vermont when I helped restore an old New England building. Well, I came home from that experience to New York, lived at home with my parents, and I got a job on a dairy farm. I worked there and I made enough money to buy my first car, which was a big deal, you know. And in the fall, when school started up, I enrolled in the building trades program at Alfred State College here in New York. It was a 2-year program. I only went 1 year, which was enough for me. I didn't want to pay for the second year, didn't really have the money. Part of that program was building houses. The school built houses. They had a little development like going, and they were ranch houses. And the carpentry class, the class I was in, we did the drywall. We hung the drywall and we learned to finish the drywall. And our teacher, his name was Mr. Gamo. Mr. Gamo was a very serious man. Mr. Gamo was on the job site at the house, and I was working with my friend Brian. If you've never hung drywall before, it's a whole lot more complicated than it is if you've done it for years. And that's where we were. First time, hanging drywall. I think there was a couple electrical boxes, a switch and a receptacle. This was a long time ago. But there were a couple boxes, a couple cutouts. We took our measurements and we were in the garage. There was a stack of drywall. There were guys in other rooms hanging drywall, you know, teams like 2 guys. Brian and I, we took a long time. We took our measurements, we took our saw, we cut it out, we carried it into the room, we put it in place, and it was totally wrong. Our cutouts were nowhere near where they needed to be. And I looked at him and he looked at me, and we were both thinking the same thing. We got to get this thing out of here before Mr. Gamo sees. I think he was in the basement. So we ran with that piece of drywall outdoors. We stomped on it, busted in pieces, threw it in the dumpster, grabbed another sheet, and redid it. And we got it right the second time. The point is, sometimes this happens, or worse, and it can all be fixed. And they didn't show us how to fix our mistakes in the trade school. They just they give you the basics, right? So let me close up on this. I'll show you this a little better, and we're gonna fix it. Okay, so we got problems all the way around it. We got a problem over here. The box is nailed into a stud here. You can see the stud. It's cut out too far there. It's not really tight here. We got a big gap here. Get my finger right into that. Same up here, big gap. Okay, the paper's kind of loose around the edges. And if we come in here, I want you to notice that this box is set back. We can fix that too. The first thing we're gonna do here is get these wires into the box. Bend them right up in there, push them back. Okay, I've had situations where there's it's a remodeling situation. There's an old receptacle there. I just shut the power off, get the receptacle out of there. Should probably be changed anyways. We want a nice uninterrupted area right there. The next thing I'm going to do is take a piece of drywall tape here, and I'm going to fit it into here. Okay, it so happens that this is the right width. Okay, so I'm going to get that in there like that. If you have a bigger box, you can use a piece of cardboard, or you don't even have to do this. All right, you're not going to see guys who drywall for a living doing this to the boxes, but this is a good idea in many instances. That's a suggestion. If you watched my video about plastic boxes versus metal boxes, you know that I really don't like plastic boxes. And in fact, this addition on my house, I didn't use a single plastic box. What I used is plaster rings and metal boxes like this. If you can patch this, like I'm going to show you, you can certainly patch around one of these plaster rings because you've got backing around most of it, unlike this box here, all right? But we're going with this more common situation. First thing I'm going to do is get rid of that loose paper. With the utility knife, I'm chamfering that edge.
Okay, I think it's important to do this. I got a little bit of looseness right here. Just going to cut that out. Come right down. Yeah, you want to get rid of the loose paper. There we go. And right there. Get rid of that. And go like that. And then we'll finish up coming right down here. Okay? Yeah.
I like that. Wait a minute. Right there. I like that. I'm going to patch this with hot mud, which is the setting type joint compound. And right here I have it. And this is heavy hot mud, which means it's pretty dry. And this is the 5-minute stuff, so I better get busy. What I'm going to do here, since I have a little bit smaller knife in the form of this margin trowel, is I'm going to go in and I'm just going to get a little on the box there, all right? And to some degree, I'm going to get some on the back side there. This may be a little too heavy, but it's going to work. It's going to work.
I don't want to spend too much time on this, so I've got the 5-minute stuff.
All right, that's enough. A little bit in there like that. And then we're going to get the rest on there. And I'm going to just come off to the side. And I'm going to just keep pushing it in. All right? Just keep pushing it in. Do the same over here. I'm not concerned. You can see right there, I just pushed it in and I covered the lower hole here for the screw. Not a problem. And we're getting onto the box, or we're overlapping the box. That's not a problem either. All right. Yeah, this stuff's quite heavy. My objective here is just to get that filled. To get everything else, all the rest of it here off. All right. And I'm going to push some more in there. I'm filling.
We're going to tape it with some tape next. First, we fill, and we let it get hard. Good and hard. And of course,
setting type compounds like Easy Sand Durabond, they do not dry, they cure. I think they have a Portland cement base or something comparable. There we go. It has been a half hour, which is plenty for 5-minute mud, hot mud. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut out the extra by just putting my knife in, finding the edge of the box. Works easier with a metal box. I don't like plastic boxes. Since this was recessed, the box was recessed, this is a good thing to do. And I should say, when I was filling here, I neglected to tell you that you really need to use setting compound for this filling. You don't want to use regular joint compound because this stuff, Durabond Easy Sand, is so much harder. It's so much better for this sort of thing, for filling. All right, we're good there. Now, one more thing. Got my 6-inch knife here. Sometimes that filler will be a little proud, and before it gets as hard as it can get, you can scrape it a little. Okay? So that's what I'm doing, scraping it a little. Before I tape it, I'll get a piece here to work with, and I'm going to go past where I need to, a little bit here, a little bit here. Okay, and then I'm going to do something that you may have never seen before, and I do it quite often if I have just a little bit of a gap to fill. I'm going to rip that in half. Okay, so that's going there, and I've got the 5-minute. It's not quite as heavy, but it's still kind of heavy. So put it on, and bring it out. Just getting the tape in there, bedding the tape. Looks like a mess, but it actually looks very good. And as you can see, I'm giving it a little bit of a coat there. Get the wider knife on it. I would say that I have it for now. It has been another half hour or so, and the 5-minute hot mud has set up nicely. So I'm going to once again carve this out. Most drywallers, the guys, the pros, the guys who do it fast and do it good, will just put mesh tape over here and fill. And there's nothing wrong with that. You could do that. But this is, I would argue, a better job. If you have a situation where your outlet is on an outside wall, if you tape all the way around, you're not going to have air infiltration from the outside at all. So I've trimmed that again. That's looking good. What I'm going to do now is just very carefully and lightly give it a sanding. I'm basically knocking off any boogers and ridges that are there. I don't want to roll up my paper or anything. I just want to make sure there's no obstructions. Now we go to regular premix joint compound, and we're going to feather this out quite a ways. Get it on there all the way around. Okay, like that. And you know, you can go like this, you can go like this, and I do that, but I also like to go diagonally. I like to wipe that off diagonally as well as the other ways. Okay, so I'm putting a very thin coat on, feathering it out, and sometimes that's enough in itself. Well, surprise, surprise. Unfortunately, the video that I took after what you've just been watching did not turn out. I thought I was recording and I wasn't. I think I've gotten you far enough along here that you got the concept and you could do this, okay, if you wanted to. It's nearly 100 degrees here. It's very humid. That very thin skim coat of premix is not drying very well. But I cleaned up the box, okay, and I pulled my wires out. And if this was not a mock-up, but it was the real deal, I would wait for this to totally dry, very lightly sand it, and I would skim coat it again, out a little further, very thin, and then let that dry and sand it, and it would be beautiful. It'd be beautiful. This video is getting kind of long anyways, but what I want to do now is get on the other side of this wall, cut a hole, and see what that patch looks like from the back side. Well, I think it's right here. Yeah, it's right there, all right. And there it is from the back side. You can see lots of the hot mud, the 5-minute hot mud there. Good and solid, good and solid. That mud was quite dry, but it still worked out. We got a nice solid patch. That's the way that's done. And thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you in the next video.